Wave of You by Surfaces.
Easy on Me by Adele.
Grady Spencer and the Works.
September by Earth, Wind & Fire.
Beer Never Broke My Heart by Luke Combs.
Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. This is a Listen to the Music Sunday. A Listen to the Music Sunday, which is awesome. Now, Pablo asked me to ask you this question, so I'm going to ask you this. How many here have no idea what a Listen to Music Sunday? People are clapping. How many? I love that. I love there's some people that don't, a lot of people, okay, what in the world is a Listen to Music Sunday? Listen to Music is the time that we listen to what the world is listening to. Has to be a number one song. And we do this in between series, and we haven't done it for a while, but this is one of those times where we stop what we're doing. We listen to what the culture listens to. Now, here's what we've learned. We have learned that whatever the culture is listening to, whatever rises to a number one song, is one of those topics and things that we need to talk about. Sometimes we affirm what it says. Sometimes we listen to it and respond to it and correct what it says. Sometimes we just say, this is going to be a launch pad for us to share a message out of it. But what we always do is we connect truth to the popular. We connect sacred to the secular. In fact, I got some good news for you today. I'm gonna ruin this song for you. Now, what does that mean? That means that every time you hear this song, you're gonna think of that stinking sermon that Pastor Dan gave, because it's gonna connect this song. And when you're there and you're listening to that song, you say, oh yeah, our church did that song. Yeah, the band did that song. Yeah, we preached a message on that song. You preached a message on that song? And it's like a handout. You get a chance to share your faith. So I'm messing this song up for you. Every time you hear this now, we're gonna connect it. And when I think about this here, I think it's a great tool. So about a year ago, let me talk to you about this song. About a year ago, during COVID, the singer, whose name is Walker Hayes, okay, the singer started to do, a year ago, August, he started some little TikTok videos, and he introduced this song a year ago in August, a year and a half ago, and this became viral. Everybody listened to it, and everybody started to dance to it, and it became the number one song that's still the number one song today. And so I want you to take a minute and listen to the music.
My girl is banging, she's solo maintenance. Don't need no champagne, poppin' entertainment. Take her to Wendy's, can't keep her off me. She wanna dip me like the fries in a Frosty. But every now and then when I get paid, I gotta spoil my baby with an upgrade. Hey, hey. Yeah, we fancy like Applebee's on a date night. Got that Bourbon Street steak with the Oreo shake and some Wendy's on the top two straws, one check. Girl, I got you bougie like Natty in the styrofoam, squeaking in the truck bed all the way home. Some Alabama jammer, she my Dixieland delight. That's how we do, fancy like ooh, fancy like ooh, fancy like ooh, fancy like ooh. Don't need no Tesla to impress her. My girl's happy, rolling on a Vespa. Don't need no mansion to get romancing. She's super fine, double wide, slow dancing. But every now and then when I get paid, I gotta spoil my baby with an upgrade. Hey, hey, hey. And we fancy like Applebee's on a date night. Got that Bourbon Street steak with the Oreo shake. Get some whipped cream on the top two. 2 straws, 1 check, girl, I got you. Bougie like Natty in the styrofoam. Squeaking in the truck bed. Some Alabama jammer, she my Dixieland delight. That's how we do, Fancy like my new clean blue jeans without the holes in them. Country kisses on my lips without the skull in them. Yeah, she probably gonna be keeping some Victoria's Secrets. Maybe a little Maybelline, but she don't need it in the kitchen. Like radio slows down, box wine and her updo goes down. Yeah, we fancy like Applebee's on a date night. Got that Bourbon Street steak with the Oreo shake. Get some whipped cream on the top two. 2 straws, 1 check, girl, I got you. Bougie like Natty in the styrofoam. Squeaking in the truck bed all the way home. Some Alabama jammer, she my Dixieland delight. That's how we do, fancy like.
Great job, Pablo and the band. Awesome job. So on the dancing. But we had fun. If you can't smile about that, if you can't smile on that song, then you got a problem. Fancy like. What do you think about it? When they interviewed Walker Hayes, they said, why did you write the song? Why did you do this song? What is it? And he goes, that's just how we roll. That's our family. This song is so interesting because it's a genuine love song. And you can tell he loves his wife because he has 6 kids. 6 kids. When he's going on tour, and he's going to take an extra tour bus just for his kids. And they're all excited to go. But let me tell you why I like that. The creative team said, hey, we're going to listen to music, and we got together, our creative writing team, and we're talking about what we're going to do and how it's going to come out. And they pitched this song, and I said, that's our song. My wife and I are fancy like Applebee's. I mean, we go there. I don't know whether, that's us. It's like, that's like really an upgrade for us. That's a really good thing. It's a genuine love song. So I thought we'd have a little bit of fun. We are talking Applebee's here. So we have some gift baskets we can give away just for fun. Inside here, we got a little whipped cream. We have some Oreo cookies. We have a glass with 2 straws. We have some Valentine chocolate. So it's really fun. We're going to give away 3. So I need you to cooperate, really. I want you to listen closely, and we're going to do this as quickly as we can. If you're dating right now, not married, you're dating, and you're here together with your date or someone close to you, you can say that your date, stand up right now. If you're dating and you want to do this, we're going to give these baskets. Oh, take a look at that. Okay, we got some dates. Here we go. We got some dates. Awesome. We got some people dating. Awesome. There's good. Okay, so we're going to give one of these baskets away. So hold your hands up. I want you to tell me, when was your last day? How many days has it been since your last date? Okay, give me a number. Here we go. Last date, how many days? 1 day. Come on, hold up a finger. That means you actually do that right now. You don't have enough hands? What, 5, is that what you say? Or more than 5? 6 days, 6 days. 4 days. 2 weeks ago, they need a date right there. Right there, give them a date. Here we go. You're fancy like Applebee's today. Here we go. You're glad you came. All right, now here's another category. 7 to 10 years. You're married 7 to 10 years, okay? Stand up here. Married 7 to 10 years. Stand up. If you're married 7 to 10 years. Okay, now what's cool, I'm glad, stay standing, here we go. Really, we don't have that many here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I want you to hold up your hand. How many days has it been since you had, let me tell you why I'm doing this for you guys that are standing here. 7 to 10 years, that's the problem area. That's when the honeymoon is over and you figured out who you married. And a lot of people struggle in this, so they need an Applebee's date. Here we go. So we're going to give them an Applebee's date. Here we go. So hold up your hands. When's the last date you had? 7 to 10 years. How many days? 2 days or 1 day? 1 day? 1 day? Come on, hold up a hand, fingers. Like forever? Like 10 days? How many days? You have no idea. You have no idea. Okay, here's 2 baskets. Let's give these poor folks, they both need a date. Back at the back there. Right there's one and one right here. There we go. There we go. All right, give them a hand. Awesome job. This song is kind of everybody's song. Don't you? I mean, really think about it. We always hope, oh Lord, help me find somebody that I can just be comfortable with. Listen to the lyrics. Here, listen to the lyrics. My girl is banging. She's so low maintenance. Now, I gotta say, if you're sitting to a low maintenance person right next to you, just say, you are so low maintenance. It's awesome. This is every guy's dream, to marry a low maintenance girl. This is unbelievable. That's every guy's dream. Now, I want to tell you what, it's also every girl's dream to marry a low maintenance guy. I mean, it's interesting. 43 years ago, tomorrow, on Valentine's Day, my wife and I went to a Valentine's banquet, and we declared our love for each other, and we became a couple at college there. We said, this was the beginning of, hey, I think we're serious about each other. 43 years ago. 1 year and 3 months later, we were married. We've been married 42 years. Now, my wife's low maintenance. First date I took her on was squirrel hunting. Second date was rabbit hunting. Unbelievable. It's so cool. And what I loved about it is that we became so comfortable. We all want a relationship that's really about love. And in fact, I want to suggest to you that the Bible teaches us how to have a low maintenance relationship. So I'm going to give you some clues in this, and we can find it in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21. And this is where it starts. It says this, further, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Let me just look at that verse. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Start here. This is where a low maintenance relationship starts. Mutual submission. Let me just say this. Marry somebody you're willing to give yourself to. If you're single here today and you think this message is just for married people, you're wrong. If you're sitting here, you should have a vision of what marriage should look like. If you want to marry this low maintenance person, find somebody you'll give yourself to. And then find somebody who will give themselves to you. You'll solve a lot of problems right there if you just start and don't marry somebody that's high maintenance and become a low maintenance person yourself. How do you do that? Be willing to give yourself away. Now, he says this. This is kind of interesting. He now describes what it means to mutually submit to each other. In Ephesians goes on and he says this, for husbands, this means love your wives as Christ loved the church. Now, this is interesting because the illustration they use is Jesus loving the church. Jesus showing us how to love, and that he was more than just words. His words were actually actions. So husbands, here's what I want you to think. I want you to say this. This is how we roll. Let's just say it. Guys that are in here, single, married, doesn't matter, online, everybody, just say this. Guys in here, this is how we roll. Let's just say that. This is how we roll. Okay, what does that mean? This is how we roll. This is what we do. I'm going to challenge you guys. Make a list of what you love about your wife. Make a list of what you love about your wife. And if you're single and you're thinking about getting married, you need to realize this, that that list changes over time. When I was first married to Audrey, we looked at all the things we had in common. We focused on all the things in common. Sometimes in the 7 to 10 year range, I figured out she has a lot of things that are very different than me. And all of a sudden, I began to focus on the things that were different. And one of the things that happened for me is I had to learn to love the stuff that she was so different about. And my list would change. And I challenge you, I challenge you, make a list of the things that you love about each other and work at it. I mean, work at love. I read an article the other day, it caught my eye. The headline was, there are three words that every couple that has longevity, that the couples that have longevity in their marriage, they say these words all the time. Guess what those words are? I wanted to know. I thought of them. Guess. Turn to your neighbor. Just tell them what you think those words are. What do you think those words? 3 words. It's not that hard. You can come up with 3 words. Come on, like, you're it. I don't know. Yeah. What's the 3 words? I love you, some of you would say. Oh, some of you would say, oh, I forgive you. Or some of you would say, wow, you look pretty. Something like that. What do you think those 3 words are? I appreciate you. That was a surprise to me. And I mentioned it to Audrey. I said, we've been married 42 years, and because of that, I appreciate. And she started to laugh. She says, I don't hardly ever hear that. Kind of ruined my illustration for the day. And so this morning I said, I appreciate you, honey. Now, I'm thinking it's just an illustration. That list of saying what you love helps you express your appreciation, your love for each other. Ephesians goes on to say this, guys. He's talking to guys now. Jesus gave up his life for her to make her holy and clean, washed by the cleansing of God's word. Here's what Jesus said. He says, I'm willing to die for you. Great marriages are worth giving your life to. And great marriages are all about serving. So guys, let's say it together. Here's how we roll. Come on, here we ready? Let me say it with me, Wade. Here's how we roll. Ready? Here's how we roll. And what is that? Here's what you do. You make sacrifices for her. In other words, in the song, it says, she gets an upgrade, 2 straws and 1 check. Right? She gets an upgrade. The longer we're married, I think it's easy to forget that your girl needs an upgrade. So let me give you 3 upgrades that your girl needs, okay? And I want you to repeat these upgrades because you guys are going to get this today, okay? You're going to walk away from here saying, I want to do this. This is something I want to do. Upgrade number 1. Guys, remember, we're making sacrifices. So number 1, listen without comment. There's some laughter there because it's hard to do, especially when they tell you something that you have an answer to and you don't realize that they have no desire to hear your opinion on the subject that they're talking about. So, listen without comment. Say it, guys. Here we go. Listen without comment. Now, some guys are not participating at all. Trying to get you to come with me. Upgrade number 2. Here we go. Upgrade number 2. Know what she cares about. Hey, a simple question you can ask every day. If you just ask this question every day, you'll know what she cares about. Before you leave in the morning, just ask this question. How can I pray for you today? How can I pray for you today? What a simple question to know what she cares about. And then at the end of the day, how'd that go? Know what she cares about. Say it, guys. Ready? Know what, here, I'll try it again. Let's, guys, cooperate with me, would you please? Know what she cares about. 3rd one, show your love. No, I think sometimes we forget. We talk about love, but to really show it. Now, Ephesians goes on in verse 31. As scripture says, a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. Now, this is interesting because here's Ephesians. Ephesians is actually quoting Genesis. It's like the very beginning when God created Adam and Eve, and then he created mankind. And it says right in there, it says there's a reason that a man leaves his mom and dad and goes and marries. The two become one. That's his exact quote. And then Jesus, he quotes it again. And now Paul, he's quoting it again. This is a quote that is over and over and over again. And I want to tell you, our culture has a very different idea than what the scripture says. But Jesus has a better idea. Here's what he's doing. He's not trying to keep people from having fun and enjoyable. He's trying to teach people that this is the only way it really works. And you know what way? We're Jesus followers. In verse 32, it says this is a great mystery, but it's an illustration of the way Christ and the church are one. So, follow me. I'm the church. All of us can say this out loud. Remember, the church is not a building. It's not a group of people that get together on Sunday mornings. The church is me. I'm the church. And Christ loves me and has given himself for me. This is a great mystery. I am supposed to be connected with Christ as one. Man, if you start here, just really think about that. Don't marry somebody that has not connected with God in such a way that they are secure. There's so much power in this connectedness when you understand how much Jesus Christ loves you, how real his love is, and how powerful his love is. That's where it starts. And if you're single here today, this is where you start. This is the power of understanding exactly the picture of what marriage is supposed to be all about. Your connectedness in love. Marriage is about becoming one. So here's how you do it. He says, again, I say this in verse 33. Each man must love his wife as himself, and the wife must respect her husband. So guys, we've already talked to you. We talked to you about what it means to love. We talked about upgrade and all that. Guys, love your wife. But now comes along this thing that he's talking to wives. Respect your husband. You would think it says, wives, love your husband. But instead it says, respect your husband. What does that mean? What do you think he really means by that? Because they're not very lovable, or? I think there's something about this that's pretty powerful. Guys do need respect. There is a moment in that we're different. And he gives some very specific instructions to women. Respect your husband. So here's some ways to respect. I want to talk to you about some things you can do as wives to respect your husband. Number one, make a date night place. Make a date night place. We fancy like Applebee's. That's Audrey's night. We go to date night, we'll go to Applebee's. We fancy like. But some of you hate Applebee's, so fill in the blank. In fact, right now, you're sitting next to, what is your fancy like? I said Poppin' Fresh or something. I can't remember what somebody was telling me. Wendy's and what's your fancy like? Just out of curiosity. Turn to you. If you're sitting next to a husband and wife and all that. So what is your fancy like? So you fill in the blank. Why is this important? Let me tell you why this is important. I want you to hear me now. Kids are a distraction. Kids are a distraction. They show up in the house, don't know where they came from, but they just show up there and they stay there. They're there all the time. And they quickly become the focus instead of a reflection of your love. They are your love. And you forget to date each other. And I want to talk to you, wives, and someone even suggested in the last service, they said, we have this great teenage department. We have so many cool high school kids. They'll be your babysitters. You're worried about that? We got great babysitters for you to pick from. But don't let your kids keep you from dating each other. And I think this is sometimes harder for wives than it is for guys. But kids can be a distraction. But work can be a distraction too. Guys can end up being so focused on work, or gals can be so focused on work that it just becomes a distraction, or your careers are a distraction. Here's what you need to do. Sacrifice for your relationship. You know, last night, we had a small group that actually had a big event, Valentine's Day. They had a great time last night. And that small group, yeah, there's some that were there. That small group has become quite a large group because their whole focus is on helping each other have date nights, on helping each other stay focused on their marriage. And, you know, I talked to Jessie. She said, we'll double that. We'll make it into 2 groups if it becomes too big. But my point to you is this: make a date night. So here's your date night assignment. Let's say you say, okay, I'll believe you. Tomorrow night's a good night. You know, it's called Valentine's Day for a reason. There's something cool happening tomorrow. You're going to go out on a date. So what do? Here's what I want to give you some assignments. This is your date night assignment number 1. What do you love about each other? Answer that question. What do you love about each other? We talked about it earlier. They make a list, but now you come to this place. What is it that you love about each other? So guys, I'm going to help you a little bit to be creative. I think you shouldn't overspend. I go to the dollar store because my wife is low maintenance. So I want to show you how to tell your wife you love you. And I'm gonna be real vulnerable here and tell you why I love my wife. And I went to the dollar store. I got all these things, didn't overspend, didn't break the bank. Starts right here. It says, hello, baby. She likes giraffes. Some people say I misused that bag, but I thought it fit. Hello, baby. Doesn't that work? Let me tell you why I like my wife. My wife loves to entertain. She loves to have when she has someone over, she thinks about it all week long. She'll never do. She prepares. This is some silverware, plastic silverware. It's my way of saying, I love you, honey, because I'm so proud of you. When I have people over, you think so much about it. I'm proud of what you do. I love that about you. I love that. You know, the second one is, it's some Scotch tape. It's transparent tape. Now, why do I have this? Because it's invisible. And a lot of you don't even know who my wife is. She's quietly, oftentimes behind the scenes, but she holds us together in incredible ways. I'm so grateful for my wife in that way. I put this one in here. These are clips. She's hung on. I remember her dad saying to me, I'm not letting her come home, so she's got to stick with you. So she's hung on to our marriage. She's made it. I'm so grateful for that. I love that about my wife. I love that there's some, here's one. You know what this is? Erasable pen here, dry erase eraser. My wife has erased so many mistakes I've made in our marriage. She just forgets it and moves on. I'm so grateful for that. It's made such a difference in our marriage. I love that my wife likes to work with me. In fact, on Monday, we fly or tomorrow, we're actually going to be installing a septic tank together in Mexico, in a very poor neighborhood. And we're going to work together on a mission trip. I'm pumped about that. I love that she loves to work at me. You probably have seen this. This is my camo Band-Aids. She loves to go on my adventures, which she gets bruised on occasionally. But she loves to hunt with me, so that's my camo thing here. She helps me see the future. She's sweet and hot. She likes to hang with me. She cleans up my messes. She loves to go to the sun with me. This is all cool stuff. She's still molding me into what she wants me to be. She still loves to kiss me. Oh, I love that. You know, I just want you to understand, show each other you love each other. Take the time. Date night assignment number 2. Talk to each other. I'm going to tell you that some of us have forgot how to do that, which means you put your phones aside. You don't even bring your phones on the date night. Or if you do, you put them on silence. You just don't go to the phones. And then you talk. Can I ask you this question? When you first were dating, did you ever go out on a date and spend all night talking? What a cool thing. Oh, I had so many questions. I wanted to learn so much about her. We forgot that. And is there a possibility that her coworkers know her better than you do, or his coworkers know him better than you do? If it's possible that that's happened, cut it out. Be curious. In fact, I think we know that some of you need a little help with that. You need to ask some questions. You need to get started. You need to learn to do this again. So on the Gold Creek app, we have a sheet of questions. I think there's 25 questions that will help you on your date night, okay? I just really encourage you. You can go to Gold Creek app. You'll see right on there that's a download there, and it's a place for you to ask questions and get curious and learn about each other. If you don't want to do that, here's a simple question that'll start the day. What's on your mind? What a simple question. What's on your mind? If you ask that question, you know what will happen? You will begin to let them set the topic that they want to talk about. Assignment number 3. Okay, again, this is for gals. We had the husbands, they're sacrificing, but assignment number 3, talk about sex and have sex. Dip me like fries in a Frosty. Okay, that's the quote in the song. This is one of those times that I want to say to you, get over it. We need to talk more about sex, not less about sex. Our world is trying to define sex. Pornography is pretending to say this is what sex is when it is disastrous. Ends in a disaster. God had the greatest idea ever with sex, and he defined it in such a way that he said, this is how you have great sex. This is how you get the most out of this incredible gift. So I'm challenging you. Talk about sex and have sex. Now, here's the 2 questions you can ask. Are you satisfied with our sex life? This is a difficult question. It's a vulnerable question. You can say, are we satisfied? And then what can we do to make it better? If you need a little help here and you say, man, I don't even know, man, talk about sex, this whole thing, is this really biblical? You're in the church, it gets really tense, everyone gets quiet. How about just read the book of the Bible called Song of Solomon? Just go on your date and read the description of sexuality in the Song of Solomon. That'll get you started. You can say, we're just reading the Bible. Some of you are going to go look it up. You didn't even know what was in the Bible. Did you actually know that there's a commandment for married couples? And the commandment is for them to have sex. Listen to this in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 2. He says this, it starts this way, because there's so much sexual immorality. Now, Paul is writing this to a group in Corinth, and in Corinth, there was a ton of sexuality. You go into the downtown square, and they had this big plaza, and in the plaza, they had steam rooms, and they had brothels where prostitutes hung out, and they had young boys, young girls, they had the most live sex shows, all of it in the downtown arena. It was pornography, live pornography. And here's Paul talking to this church in Corinth. He's saying, man, there's so much sexual immorality. And boy, we have that today. We don't have our plaza, but you open up your laptop, you open up your phone, and there's pornography that's pushing, and culture that's pushing sex and telling us what we're supposed to believe about sex. And here's what Paul says. Because there's so much sexual immorality, here's what you can say. Each man should have his own wife, and each woman should have her own husband. Here's the plan. Simple plan. Focus on your spouse. Now, I want to say, it is really true. Guys are like really stupidly simple. They have an on-off switch. You go on, off. Feed them a little food, give them sex. That's all they care about. I mean, that's just like, it's like really simple. Gals, way more complicated. Let's be honest. Intimacy, they want intimacy and no distractions, and they want everything to be just right. I know there's a certain amount of all that that's going on, but if your job is to focus on them, don't you think you could do it? In fact, verse 3 says this: the husband should fulfill this wife's sexual needs, and the wife should fulfill her husband's need. It's back to the beginning. Mutual submission. The healthiest thing you can do for your kids is to show your kids that you have a healthy sex life. Now, I'm not saying invite them into the bedroom. I'm not saying weird stuff like that. What I am saying is this: your kids are being introduced to sex by pornography when they ought to be introduced to sex by mom and dad. It's not culture that, they shouldn't look at pornography, they should look at mom and dad. They shouldn't look at culture, they should look at mom and dad. When they want to define real intimacy, they shouldn't look at those things, they should look at mom and dad. And if you don't have a healthy sex life, I just challenge you, get to the bottom of it. Why is that? If you need counseling, sometimes there's all kinds of reasons that you come to that place where you realize that sometimes abuse has happened, sometimes there's mistrust. Just dig in, get to the bottom of it. Assignment number 3. Assignment number 4, simplify. Simplify. I like the song says, I don't need no Tesla or a double wide investment. Is this all we need? Simplify. So how do you simplify? Here's what you can think about. Everything you have has you. I'm gonna say that again. Everything you have has you, unless you let go of it. Unless it's really not yours. First of all, you realize that you have a loving relationship with God that says everything we have is really God's. And then second thing is that in a married couple's lives, what's mine is yours and where yours is mine. And if that's not happening right now, there's a trust issue. And that's an assignment that you can talk about and work on. And that means you decide together, set a number. Don't let each other spend each other's money without deciding an amount. Keep margins so that there's always room to do some things that you didn't plan on spontaneously. And then the last thing is, be generous. I want you to hear this. Generosity changes your spirit more than anything else. And when you are generous together, there's something really cool that happens as a couple that can't happen any other way. So, we fancy like Applebee's. Can I just tell you what I prayed for today? I prayed that God would do some miracles. So I want to talk to you that are online. There's people online that are ready to pray for you and think about you. And I want you to know in person, before you leave today, I want to tell you, you should ask God for a miracle. In fact, I saw a single guy last service, and I pulled him aside. I said, did you ask? I know his desire. He says, I really want a spouse that I can love wholeheartedly, that's low maintenance. I said, well, that's going to be a miracle. Have you asked for it? I think sometimes we think God doesn't care, man. He cares so much. He wants so much to give us and I'm asking you to ask for a miracle today. Some of you today are in a tough spot in your relationship. Or maybe today you need a fresh start. And maybe your miracle is today, this is the beginning of a fresh start. And you're gonna take that eraser pen and just erase all the stuff that's happened before now, and all the counseling and all the stuff that's done up to this moment. Maybe it didn't work, but right now, today, with the help of Jesus Christ, with the help of a God that loves you, he's gonna help you start fresh. You're gonna forgive and move on. I think some of you are praying for some kids that need a miracle in their relationship, or friends that need a miracle. Or maybe just today, you don't need a miracle. You just need to pray together to say, man, we're gonna do this. We're gonna be fancy like Applebee's. We're gonna be low maintenance. We're gonna commit to each other. So I wanna challenge you. Would you bow your head just for a moment? Before you leave today, if there's something that God wants you to ask for, I want to challenge you to ask for it. He cares about your relationship. He knows what's going on in your life. Head bowed, just maybe there's some here that are divorced and they don't think there's any chance. They just feel like a failure today. Man, God's so good at erasing our mistakes and giving us fresh starts. Why not make this the day that you just kind of let some of that garbage go and you start fresh and say, God, I just trust you with my future, and connect with him in an intimate, meaningful, powerful way. Now I want you to look at me. In fact, why don't you please stand? We're going to close the service in a simple way. We have in the center of the room a candle table. And I thought it might just be comfortable for some of you before you leave to say, you know what, let's pray together as a couple. Light a candle, pray together as a couple. And you can kind of even have your own little unity candle moment where you both light one candle and you just leave one behind, representing that it's you. It's the two of you become one. And then I'm going to invite our prayer team up front. We have staff and different ones that are willing to pray, and I'm going to invite them up front. And here's what I say. You don't have to share there's no way, they can't be a counselor today to you, but they can do something. They can agree with you for your miracle. You're praying for a future spouse, you're praying for your marriage to make it, you're praying for forgiveness and letting go of some stuff, you're praying for a miracle in someone else's life. I just invite you, before you leave, why don't you slip up and ask God for a miracle? One last thing. Every time I talk about this, I realize some people are in a really, really difficult place, and it's not going to be solved in just one Sunday. And you want some counseling and you need resources. On that Gold Creek app we prepared for today, we actually called counselors, found out who had margin and could take on more couples. And there's a list on there for you to be able to share and to call them. That list, you can go to the Gold Creek app and there's a list for you as a resource. So may God bless you today. Before you leave, it's your choice. I hope you're fancy like Applebee's. I hope you have a low maintenance relationship. May God bless you as you respond.